There's a moment every man faces when he realizes he's surrounded by noise, notifications, headlines, arguments, opinions, everyone shouting, everyone distracted. The modern world doesn't fight you with weapons anymore. It fights you with noise, and the man who can't control his attention loses long before the battle begins. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago, even without the internet or endless distractions. He saw how rulers lost power, not through war, but through divided focus. A prince who tries to do everything, to please everyone, ends up serving no one, including himself. He becomes scattered, reactive, weak, and the world devours the unfocused. Because focus is not a luxury, it's the foundation of power. Empires aren't built by men who dabble, they're built by men who obsess. Every masterpiece, every revolution, every fortune began with the same act, the elimination of distraction. The ability to see one goal so clearly that everything else fades into background noise. Most people will never reach this state. They confuse busyness with purpose. They chase everything and master nothing. They live in constant reaction, scrolling, switching, chasing dopamine hits instead of direction. They mistake movement for progress and wonder why they never get anywhere. But Machiavelli saw through that illusion. He believed the greatest rulers were those who could concentrate their power, their people, and their mind toward a single aim. He compared focus to fire, harmless when scattered, unstoppable when concentrated. The same energy that warms can also destroy if directed. And that's what this video is about. The psychology of focus, how to build it, protect it, and weaponize it the way the masters of history did. You'll learn how to think like a strategist, how to eliminate what weakens you, how to turn discipline into momentum, and how to make your mind so sharp that distraction dies in your presence. Because in a world built to scatter your attention, the one who can hold focus is the one who controls the world. Let's begin. It begins small. A glance at your phone, a thought you chase, a conversation that leads nowhere. You tell yourself it's harmless, just a moment of rest. But distraction doesn't kill you suddenly, it bleeds you slowly. It steals minutes, then hours, then years, until one day you wake up and realize you've been busy your whole life and achieved nothing that mattered. Machiavelli warned rulers of this kind of death, the one that comes not from rebellion, but from neglect. He wrote that a prince must guard his attention the way he guards his fortress. Because the enemy that captures your mind doesn't need to storm your walls. It only needs to keep you looking elsewhere while it takes everything. In every era, the powerful have understood this. The difference between the master and the mediocre has never been talent. It has always been focus. The master knows how to say no ruthlessly, consistently, even when it hurts. He sacrifices what is easy to preserve what is essential. Most people never learn this discipline. They mistake attention for abundance. They spread it thin across 1,000 distractions, opinions, tasks, temptations, and wonder why nothing grows. They want greatness, but their focus is divided into fragments, too small to build anything lasting. You can see it everywhere. Men with potential scrolling through the days they were meant to conquer. Workers chasing every trend instead of mastering one craft. Leaders trying to please everyone and earning respect from no one. Distraction has become the new poverty, an invisible thief that robs silently but completely. The first step to escaping it is awareness. You must recognize that every time you divide your attention, you weaken your will. Every notification, every argument, every indulgence in triviality chips away at your strength. You cannot be both consumed by noise and capable of clarity. Machiavelli would tell you to treat your attention as currency. Spend it only where it multiplies. Guard it from thieves disguised as entertainment, comfort, or false urgency. If your focus determines your future, then distraction is the weapon your enemies use to make sure you never reach it. And that's the cruel truth. Most people are not defeated, they are merely distracted. Their empire never falls because it was never built. They traded construction for consumption, mastery for stimulation. If you want power, learn to say no. No to distraction, no to indulgence, no to the endless noise of lesser minds. Every no you speak is a brick in the fortress of your focus. Every yes to nonsense is a crack in its wall. Focus begins with discipline, but discipline begins with awareness. And once you see how much of your life has been stolen by distraction, you will never again mistake movement for progress. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less ruthlessly, deliberately, without apology. The average man thinks success comes from addition. He piles on habits, projects, ambitions, hoping that somewhere in the chaos he'll stumble into greatness. But the masters know the opposite is true. Focus begins when you start cutting. Machiavelli warned that a ruler who tries to defend everything defends nothing. A prince must decide what is worth his full strength and what must be sacrificed. Every castle you try to protect weakens the one that truly matters. The same applies to your life. Every goal you chase that doesn't align with your deepest purpose drains the energy that could make one pursuit unstoppable. Look at history. Alexander the Great conquered half the world before 30, not because he did everything, but because he did one thing obsessively. He didn't build cities, write books, or debate philosophers. He focused on war, on strategy, speed, and psychological dominance. He eliminated everything else until his vision consumed him, and through that focus, he bent nations. You, too, are surrounded by 1,000 small wars, emails, obligations, opinions, temptations. Each one demands a piece of your energy, a slice of your mind. But energy is not infinite, and the man who spends it everywhere wins nowhere. The masters understand this law. Elimination is expansion. By removing what drains you, you multiply what drives you. The weak cling to everything. They say yes to avoid guilt, to feel busy, to please others. They drown in tasks and call it productivity. But the powerful know that clarity is a weapon. When you know exactly what matters, every decision becomes simple. You either move closer to the goal or you don't. There is no in between. Machiavelli would tell you this if you wish to rule your life. Treat every choice as a test of loyalty. Every task, every relationship, every thought must either serve your empire or be discarded. A ruler who cannot eliminate distractions within his court loses his throne. A man who cannot eliminate them within his mind loses his time. You don't need more time. You need fewer diversions. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer temptations. Your future depends less on what you start doing and more on what you finally stop doing. The law of elimination is brutal because it demands sacrifice. You will have to cut things that feel good but serve nothing. You will have to disappoint people who thrive on your distraction. But the reward is priceless. A mind that moves in one direction, unbroken, undistracted, unstoppable. Focus sharpens when you remove what dulls it. Every empire was built not by addition, but by subtraction, by carving away the unnecessary until only power remained. Every man has ideas, few have focus. The difference between the dreamer and the builder is simple. The builder holds one thought long enough to make it real. That is the discipline of focus, not the ability to think, but the ability to stay with one thought until it bends reality. Machiavelli understood this better than most philosophers. He watched rulers rise and fall, not because of their intelligence, but because of their inability to hold their vision through storms. The weak ruler shifted course with every opinion, every rumor, every setback. The strong one held his aim so firmly that others eventually bent to his will. You've seen this pattern in your own life. Every time you start something, an idea, a goal, a plan, you begin with fire. But the fire fades, not because the idea was wrong, but because you lost attention. You let new interests, doubts, or distractions scatter your energy. What was once a burning focus becomes a pile of half-finished efforts. The masters do not allow this. They build mental walls around their chosen objective. They protect their focus from curiosity, from impatience, from the endless temptation to switch. They know that success is less about brilliance and more about endurance. It's not how many ideas you have, but how long you can hold one idea when the world tries to break it. Focus is a kind of faith not in chance, but in consistency. To choose one direction and refuse to question it every time the road gets hard. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but he might as well have said fortune favors the focused, because boldness without consistency is noise, but consistency, even in silence, becomes force. There's a story about Napoleon. Before every campaign, his generals would bombard him with questions, routes, supplies, politics. Napoleon would listen quietly and then say, "Let us go forward." He understood what they didn't. The decision was already made. The thinking was done. Every question was just an attempt to dilute focus with fear. You must learn to do the same. Decide once, completely. After that, act. The more you revisit your decisions, the weaker they become. The more you doubt, the slower you move. Your focus should not be a constant debate, it should be a command. The man who masters one thought becomes terrifying. His energy no longer leaks through indecision. His actions align perfectly with his purpose. People feel it in his presence, the weight of someone who knows exactly what he's building. That is how empires begin. Not with resources or luck, but with the mind of one man who refused to scatter his power. Focus doesn't die from lack of vision. It dies from lack of control. The greatest threat to mastery isn't ignorance, it's impulse. The human mind is wired for distraction. It seeks novelty, pleasure, validation. It craves immediate satisfaction over long-term victory. And every time you surrender to that craving, you trade your empire for a moment's comfort. Machiavelli warned that a ruler who cannot control his emotions will eventually serve them. The same is true for anyone trying to master their focus. Your impulses are like small rebellions inside your mind, each one shouting louder than reason. They promise release, but they deliver weakness. The man who cannot master his impulses becomes predictable. His enemies know exactly how to move him. They only need to trigger desire, anger, or fear, and his discipline collapses. But the man who governs himself, who pauses before reacting, who chooses action over emotion, becomes impossible to manipulate. Think of how the modern world is designed. Every app, every headline, every advertisement is built to pull your attention away from yourself. You are being trained to react, not to act. The average man is no longer in charge of his own thoughts. His impulses are outsourced to machines that profit from his distraction. Machiavelli would call this the new tyranny, not a ruler on a throne, but the invisible rule of your cravings. To regain power, you must wage war on them. You must treat every impulse as a potential traitor. The next time you feel the urge to check your phone, to scroll, to react, pause. Ask yourself, who benefits from this action? Because it's rarely you, the one who can delay gratification, who can sit in stillness while the world demands reaction, possesses a kind of strength that terrifies those addicted to noise. Focus is not natural. It's forged in resistance. Every time you resist the pull of distraction, you sharpen your control. Every impulse you conquer adds weight to your will. Over time, what once felt like effort becomes instinct. You stop chasing stimuli and start commanding it. This is how masters separate themselves from mediocrity. Not through talent, but through discipline so strong it looks like destiny. Their calm is not passive, it's tactical. They know that the man who controls his attention controls his future. Impulse is the enemy of empire, but every victory over impulse, no matter how small, is a brick in the fortress of focus. Discipline is not built in moments of passion. It's built in repetition, quiet, unglamorous, relentless repetition. The mind craves freedom, but mastery is born in structure. The masters of history understood this truth. Routine is not a cage, it's a weapon. Machiavelli observed that a prince's stability depended not on his whims, but on his systems. Fortune, he wrote, favors those who can create order in the midst of chaos. A ruler without structure becomes reactive, chasing every event instead of shaping it. The same is true for your focus. Without ritual, you are a servant to your moods. The modern man despises repetition. He calls it boring. He wants variety, stimulation, something new every day. But the masters, artists, generals, philosophers, repeated the same actions until excellence became instinct. What others saw as monotony, they saw as mastery. Routine is how you tame chaos before it consumes you. It's how you protect focus from randomness. Every ritual you build is a line of defense around your attention. When your day has structure, the world loses its grip on you. When your actions are guided by principle instead of impulse, you move through life like a machine of purpose. Think of Marcus Aurelius rising before dawn to write his meditations. Think of Napoleon reviewing maps at the same hour each morning. Think of writers, warriors, thinkers, all following strict rituals, not because they loved discipline, but because they feared distraction. Routine is how they kept their vision intact while the world tried to pull them apart. There is power in predictability. When your mind knows what comes next, it stops wasting energy deciding. Decision fatigue disappears. Focus sharpens. You start moving with rhythm, not resistance. And that rhythm compounds each day, strengthening the next until momentum becomes unstoppable. Most people never reach this point because they confuse freedom with lack of structure, but freedom without form is chaos. Routine gives your mind a container, a place for your power to grow without spilling into useless activity. Ritual gives meaning to repetition. It transforms daily discipline into a sacred act. Machiavelli would say that fortune favors those who control their own tempo. The undisciplined dance to the rhythm of others. The focused set their own pace. Your routine becomes your fortress. It protects you from the randomness of the world. The master does not rise to inspiration. He rises to habit. He doesn't wait to feel ready. He acts because the ritual demands it. And over time, those rituals carve identity. You become what you repeat. Focus thrives in structure. Build it once, protect it always. Because once routine becomes second nature, your energy stops leaking, and that's when empires begin to rise. No man ever built an empire surrounded by noise. Every master, every ruler, every visionary understood this truth. At some point, you must withdraw. Isolation is not loneliness, it is refinement. It's the moment when your mind separates from the chaos of the crowd and becomes capable of original thought. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must sometimes retreat from his people to see clearly. Immersion in constant chatter blinds judgment. A ruler who listens to every voice loses his own. The same rule applies to you. The more opinions you absorb, the less conviction you have. The mind that never disconnects becomes a mirror reflecting everything, creating nothing. The modern world fears silence because it reveals weakness. Most people fill every second with noise, music, notifications, meaningless conversation, anything to avoid facing themselves. But focus demands solitude. Great decisions, great creations, great empires are born in moments of isolation. Look at the masters. Leonardo da Vinci would disappear for weeks, sketching in silence until his ideas formed clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote in private before ruling in public. Even modern leaders, the ones who shape economies and nations, retreat before they act. The pattern is ancient. Withdrawal precedes dominance. Isolation sharpens perception. When the world goes quiet, your thoughts stop competing for space. You begin to see connections that others miss. You hear the whispers of your own strategy. You gain something rare, perspective. But there's another reason the masters isolate: control. The fewer inputs you allow, the harder you are to manipulate. Influence enters through noise, through opinions, through emotion, through endless exposure to the mediocre. When you isolate, you starve the forces that feed on your attention. You reclaim your mental territory. Machiavelli would remind you that the prince who wants to rule must first separate himself from the ruled, not to reject them, but to see them clearly. In the same way, you must learn to separate from the crowd, not because you are above them, but because clarity cannot exist in the mob. Isolation does not mean exile. You return to the world stronger, sharper, more deliberate. Like a blade pulled from the forge, your time alone gives you an edge. You engage again, but this time on your terms. You choose what deserves your attention and what doesn't. This is why masters are calm while others are chaotic. Their solitude has taught them self-sufficiency. They don't need constant stimulation because their thoughts sustain them. They don't chase validation because they've learned to validate themselves. If you fear being alone, you'll never be powerful, because power requires independence of thought, of emotion, of focus. Isolation is not escape, it's evolution. And when you learn to use it, the world stops feeling overwhelming and starts feeling small, manageable, predictable, conquerable. At some point, focus must evolve into obsession. The masters understood this. They didn't merely work on their craft, they were consumed by it. To the outside world, it looked like madness. But what others called obsession, they called alignment. When your purpose becomes instinct, when your work becomes identity, that's when your power compounds. Machiavelli saw this in rulers who reshaped history. They weren't half interested in their ambitions, they lived and breathed them. Cesare Borgia, whom Machiavelli admired, didn't rest until every move, every alliance, every deception served his rise to power. His life was his strategy. There was no separation. That's what made him unstoppable and why his enemies never saw rest until he fell. Focus without passion is discipline. Focus with passion becomes obsession, and obsession creates momentum that ordinary effort can't match. Once your mind is fully aligned with a single pursuit, time begins to bend. The hours others waste in distraction, you convert into domination. What feels like work to them feels like necessity to you. But obsession has a price. It isolates you, it strips away comfort, it demands that you give up balance for greatness. Most people aren't willing to pay that price, which is why they remain spectators in the game of power. Machiavelli would say that a ruler who seeks to please everyone loses control of himself. The same is true for you. To master anything, you must accept being misunderstood. The obsessed are not loved, they are respected, feared, envied. Their focus makes others uncomfortable because it exposes what they lack. It's easier to call them extreme than to admit their own mediocrity. That's why obsession is not for the fragile. You must learn to carry solitude like a crown and sacrifice like a privilege. When you become obsessed, something shifts internally. Your attention narrows, your energy heightens, and your mind begins to attract opportunities that align with your mission. You no longer chase motivation, it chases you. You see paths others miss because your eyes never leave the target. But here's the paradox Machiavelli would appreciate. Obsession, when directed wisely, doesn't enslave you, it liberates you. It frees you from the noise of indecision, from the weakness of divided purpose. It gives you a compass that cuts through chaos. Every empire, every revolution, every innovation began with one person who refused to think casually about their mission. They were consumed, possessed, willing to burn comfort for creation. That fire is what the world remembers. You don't need to start with intensity. You build it through repetition, through elimination, through solitude. But once obsession takes hold, guard it fiercely, because that state is rare. It's the zone where ideas become inevitable, where success stops being a question and becomes a countdown. The world calls it obsession. The masters call it focus perfected. Every empire begins in the same place, not on a map, not on a battlefield, but inside the mind of the one who builds it. Focus is the architect. Everything else, money, followers, opportunity comes later, drawn toward the gravity of a disciplined mind. Machiavelli understood this truth better than most. He wrote that a ruler's first conquest must be himself, because a man who cannot command his own thoughts will never command the loyalty of others. Power starts internally, quietly, in the war between discipline and distraction. Every victory you win there echoes through the rest of your life. You've now seen the pattern: the elimination of noise, the control of impulse, the isolation for clarity, the obsession that turns focus into fire. These are not separate skills, they're phases of mastery. Together, they form the empire within you, and only from that empire can anything lasting be built. The reason most men fail is simple. They want to rule the world before they can rule their attention. They chase external control while remaining slaves to their own mind. They demand loyalty from others while betraying their own priorities every day. Machiavelli would call that self-sabotage, disguised as ambition. You must reverse it. Build from the inside out. Focus is the foundation of freedom. When you can choose what to think about and how long to think about it, you are no longer a prisoner of the modern world. Every distraction becomes irrelevant. Every manipulation loses power. You see the game clearly, while others are still reacting to its noise. That's how empires are truly built, not through chaos, but through clarity. The man who can direct his focus can direct his destiny. Every minute he owns his attention, he strengthens his influence. Every hour he spends with purpose multiplies his reach. And when that focus becomes unbreakable, he becomes unstoppable. Machiavelli might have said it this way: a prince without control of his own mind rules nothing but disorder. A man who governs his mind rules all he surveys. So guard your attention like treasure. Guard your solitude like a fortress. Guard your focus like a crown. Because everything the world tries to take from you, your time, your peace, your will, begins with stealing your focus. And if you've made it here, it means you already sense the truth. Distraction is defeat, focus is freedom, and the one who can hold his attention when others scatter will always rise above them. So take this seriously. Protect your focus. Build your empire within first, because when the mind is conquered, the world follows. If this message struck you, like the video, share it, and comment below. My focus is my empire. Because in the age of chaos, the one who masters attention doesn't just survive, he rules. And if you're ready to go deeper into the Machiavellian art of discipline and power, the next video will show you how to build unshakable self-command, one decision at a time.